Well, we have requested for this press conference because things are happening in this country in which people have lost their right to seek redress through the government and through the laws. We are seeing today people being detained under laws which are not concerned with their activities. They have been detained and they have been denied access, and even lawyers who are advising the person concerned is also called out for questioning and subsequently detained. We think that this is wrong in law. The use of this new law is said to be for terrorists, but it is apparent that it is clear that the government is using this law for all kinds of things, especially any criticisms of the government. So they are defining the word sabotage according to their own will, according to their own needs, without adhering to the purpose of the law. So we have therefore issued this statement with regard to the detention of Khairuddin and Chang, and we think that the public should know about this because this is generally the concern of the public. Today, the public has been ignored. Any protests have been ignored by the government, and yet the government is not functioning according to the laws of the country, but beyond what is provided by the laws. So that is why we have come here to make a statement and also to show that we are against this abuse of the laws of this country and other activities of the government which are questionable, which have not been fully explained, and yet where a complaint is made about this, the complainant is arrested and charged and detained and is about to be charged under this new law. So that is why we are here, and we hope that the people will understand why we have taken this stand, and I hope that people will express their objection to the government arresting people, detaining people without any legal basis for their action. So I will stop there. If you have any questions, we'll try to answer.
So, under SOSMA,
Yeah.
under SOSMA.
Yes,
Under SOSMA.
under SOSMA.
So melihat SOSMA ni semata-mata untuk menakut-nakut rakyat.
Ya, dia tetap menakut-nakutkan. Kita memang ada undang-undang. Undang-undang tetap menyekat kebebasan yang tidak terhad oleh rakyat. Tetapi mereka ini tidak melakukan sesuatu yang boleh ditakrif sebagai sabotaj kepada government. Mereka cuma menyatakan, membuat laporan tentang kesilapan yang berlaku, kesalahan yang berlaku dalam kerajaan. Sepatutnya mereka, tuduhan mereka ataupun dakwaan mereka itu dibawa untuk dibicara. Tetapi orang yang membuat tuduhan itu sekarang ini ditahan, dan lawyer baginya pun ditahan. Ini tak termasuk dalam undang-undang mana, iaitu the person accusing another person for some breaking of the law is now subject to detention. Ini luar biasa.
Are you trying to say that SOSMA is worse than ISA?
Well, it is only for 29 days. the detention without trial, 29 days. But of course, they can then charge the person under SOSMA. And then, of course, one provision of SOSMA is that if you are trying to sabotage the government, bring down the government, you may be detained for the rest of your life. Asking the government to change or bringing down the government is a normal democratic process. Recently, the Prime Minister of Australia, Abbott, was pushed out by his own party, and there was no outcry that this is against democracy, because changes of government in a democracy happens all the time. Prime Minister of Brazil today is subject to impeachment.
Actually, today is very rare to see President Gandhi next to you, and all of you are here today. Is there anything more to all this?
You want me to answer? I thought he is the spokesman, and I think I come here to associate myself with this action taken by Tun and shared by everybody at this table, because we think it is worse than draconian, the action that has been taken, because it has denied the right of those concerned from having access to legal representation even. And we feel that we have gone over the era of ISA. We're talking of being a developed status country, but then we don't seem to have matured, and we still go back to this third world kind of legislation, whereby you can detain people without representation. And I think that is wrong. I think we have not developed sufficiently enough to become what we dream to be. And I think the government should reconsider this. And I have also come, not alone because Tun has kindly invited me to join in this demonstration, to put our arguments forward on behalf of those people who are unfortunate, but also because a lot of people have been to see me making representation, in fact demanding that I should make representation to the government, because that is not the spirit in which SOSMA was brought to Parliament previously. And we were under the impression that SOSMA is much different from what ISA was, and there was a sign of relief when the ISA was repealed, and we thought it was a good action taken by the government. But when SOSMA interpreted in the way that it's being used, we feel that is definitely not right.
So, how do you foresee that this press conference is going to pressure the government? How do you see this press conference to be able to convince and pressure the government?
We see a climate of fear among people. People rather come to me, come to people, to Gursali and others, complaining, but they say there is no means for them to express their views. People who have evidence also say the same thing. If they tell the truth, then they will be subjected to all kinds of pressures, including detention, transfers, and things like that. It would seem that even when the rulers made a statement, this is actually ignored immediately. For example, instead of taking action that is needed, the AG simply dismisses the complaint made not by some funny individual, but by Bank Negara. And when Bank Negara appealed, it was dismissed. It looks as if the AG is the judge, and not only the prosecutor, he is also the judge. And he can dismiss something that is report put up by Bank Negara. So people feel that there is no means for them to express their views anymore. There is a climate of fear, as I said, and people will not want to say anything because of action being taken against them. See, so that is why we have come together to express what is actually public opinion. If you go anywhere and you talk to them, even taxi drivers, they will say that well, this government should go.
Tun, are you prepared to face any legal action for your? Are you prepared to face any legal action by the government for your?
Well, unless somebody speaks up, then the government will get away with doing all kinds of wrong things. I mean, as senior citizen, as people who are involved intimately with the politics of this country, we think that something should be done. Of course, the government may want to arrest, may want to do to arrest me under SOSMA is quite possible, because according to their interpretation of sabotage of government, anybody who says anything against the Prime Minister is about to topple the government. But toppling the government is a right of the people in a democracy. So they may take action against me or any one of us. But somebody has to take the risk to voice our disquiet, our anger, and our feeling of that the government is not looking after the interests of this country. Somebody must say it. So we have taken it upon ourselves to say what will happen to us. Of course, is up to the government.
If the government then becomes under SOSMA, you would be okay with that?
What?
You'd be willing to accept if the government were to detain you under SOSMA?
I am like any other ordinary citizen. But I hope that they use the law properly, not abuse the law.
Ini bukan seperti macam sebelum ni di Bosnia. Jadi secara jauh sebelum dengan Tun. Hari ni Tan Sri secara umum di sini lah. Apa sebenarnya dalam hati Tan Sri sekarang?
Saya yakin dengan apa yang disebutkan oleh Tun adalah suatu perkara yang benar. Saya berpegang pada prinsip keadilan, walaupun saya masih memegang jawatan dalam parti, tapi itu tidak menghalang saya untuk menunjukkan perasaan ataupun pandangan saya tentang hal-hal yang berlaku dalam negara. Lebih lagi kalau dia membabitkan soal kepentingan rakyat, soal kebebasan, soal hak, soal keadilan dan sebagainya. Sebab itu waktu mana Tun mengajak saya bersama-sama di sini, saya kira inilah suatu usaha yang sepatutnya dilakukan, iaitu menyuarakan hal-hal yang kita fikir perlu untuk memberi pandangan pada pimpinan negara, pada pihak berkuasa, pada kerajaan, supaya apapun tindakan yang nak dilakukan, dia mesti bersandarkan kepada undang-undang, undang-undang, the rule of law. Tidak boleh berbuat sesuka hati, kerana ini akan melibatkan soal kebajikan rakyat. Sebab itu saya tidak bimbang kerana nak bersama-sama di sini ialah kerana saya fikir inilah suatu perkara usaha yang baik. Kita memperjuangkan hak rakyat. Jadi saya nak menunjukkan juga bahawa UMNO walaupun menjadi sebahagian penting dalam kerajaan, ada pihak yang boleh memberikan pandangan-pandangan yang berbeza. Sepatutnya itu diterima dengan baik. Dan dengan cara ini akan meningkatkan pandangan masyarakat bahawa kita berjuang atas dasar keadilan, atas dasar kepentingan rakyat, bukan atas tujuan-tujuan tertentu ataupun untuk melindungi pihak-pihak tertentu. Sebab itu saya ada di sini untuk menunjukkan sokongan moral kepada apa langkah yang sedang diambil oleh Yang Amat Berhadiah itu.
Mungkin ada pihak yang kurang senang dengan Sanusi. Mungkin mereka cuba hadapkan Sanusi ke dalam tata tertib.
Itu terserah pada mereka. Bagi saya, apakah perbuatan ini menyalahi? Saya fikir tidak begitu. bagaimana disebutkan tadi, ini hak kita untuk bersuara. Parti tidak menyarankan supaya kita hanya mendokong sesuatu secara membetul-betuli. Mesti ada asas-asas. Asasnya panduan dari segi soal perlembagaan, dari segi undang-undang, juga dari sudut agama. Kalau ini adalah satu perkara yang memang perlu kita suarakan, saya tak fikir ahli-ahli parti harus takut dan bimbang terhadap apa saja tindakan dan kesan apa yang dilakukan seperti mana yang kita buat pada hari ini.
Shafie macam mana?
Sebenarnya seperti apa yang telah disebutkan oleh Yang Amat Berbahagia Tun dan juga rakan-rakan yang lain, iaitu pertemuan dan sokongan kita terhadap pendirian kita pada hari ini cukup jelas. Kerana saya salah seorang Jamaah Menteri yang juga telah memutuskan Akta SOSMA, ya, iaitu sebagai satu langkah untuk kita tahu kita repeal ISA dan tujuan dia spesifik, iaitu untuk memastikan supaya dalam langkah mengatasi dari segi teroris tindakan yang dilakukan, dan jaminan juga telah diberikan bukan hanya di kabinet, bahkan juga di peringkat parlimen, tentang dia tidak mempublikkan mana-mana ahli politik, ya, dan parti politik. Jadi ini cukup jelas kepada kita. Jadi apa yang penting ialah kedaulatan undang-undang dan pelaksanaan, ya, supaya jangan ada abuses dari segi penggunaan undang-undang yang ada. Kerana kalau itu berlaku, ya, sehingga pada hari ini bayangkan seorang peguam yang mengikuti, ya, Khairuddin juga telah ditahan. Dari segi undang-undang ada kebakaran, ya, bukan hanya di peringkat perundangan negara kita, bahkan juga dari segi United Nations, ya, resolution, ya, there's a protection for lawyers to represent somebody, ya, in the event if anything were to happen. Ini yang kita katakan bahawa pendirian ini perlu kita tegaskan. Perjalanan dan kedaulatan undang-undang di negara ini jangan menimbulkan sehingga bukan hanya ketakutan di kalangan rakyat untuk menyuarakan. Negara ini perlu ada bukan hanya kebebasan tapi berpandukan dengan undang-undang yang ada. Jadi saya secara pribadi seperti juga Tan Sri amat setuju dengan apa yang telah dinyatakan oleh yang amat berbahagia Tun Dr. Mahathir dari segi pendirian kita, bahawa perlunya kita tegaskan sama ada ia berbentuk supaya peringatan kepada kerajaan ataupun tekanan kepada kerajaan supaya jangan gunakan undang-undang yang sedia ada, tidak mengikuti lunas-lunas keadilan yang ada.
If I may ask, you mentioned the issue of Tony Abbott being deposed from his position and also several other cases. Was that discussed amongst the group of eminent gentlemen here, and is there maybe a push towards that? Parliament is coming up soon.
Yeah, but we have not been in a group like this before this.
Okay.
But the public knows our stand, and because of that, I took the initiative to invite us, those who are unhappy with what the government is doing, to come together and state their stand. And we are all agreed, although not any special meeting or caucus or whatever, we are all agreed that the government is abusing the law, and therefore the public must know about it, and government must respond to the feelings of the peoples of Malaysia regarding their abuse of the law.
How exactly do you think the government should respond?
The government should respond by releasing those people. Don't detain people under SOSMA, because that is not what SOSMA is all about. SOSMA is about terrorists. Do you think Matthias Chang or Khairuddin are terrorists? They merely reported some misdeeds to the government, and they reported also to the governments involved, foreign governments which are involved with money laundering. They just reported a crime, what they think is a crime. But for reporting that, you are arrested, questioned, and then detained. That is an abuse of power.
Tun and Tentu and all those at the table. The problem we are facing today is with one man who is abusing his position as the Prime Minister of the country. What else could we do to remove him?
I think the only way left to us now is a vote of non-confidence in the leader itself. But of course, there are a lot of things that people in power can do to prevent people from stating their real views. Maybe they get something, maybe they are threatened, we don't know. But these things should be of concern to all members of parliament, because they are in a position to remove the Prime Minister for wrongdoings. And this is happening all over the world. In all democratic countries, when a leader has lost the confidence of the members of parliament, then he will have to step down. And it's provided in our constitution that if the Prime Minister has lost the support of the majority, then he shall step down.
Tun, kita ada 3 ahli parlimen di sini. Jadi saya nak tanya kepada ahli-ahli parlimen berkenaan, khususnya saudara saya lah, abang saya tu baru tadi. Apa yang ahli-ahli parlimen 3 orang ni nak buat mengenai undi tidak percaya kepada Muhammad Najib saudara?
Dia ada beberapa masalah. Perkara pertamanya mesti ditegaskan bahawa hak kita membawa usul seperti undi tidak percaya terhadap pimpinan ataupun kerajaan yang sedang berkuasa dan memerintah memang ada kepada ahli-ahli Dewan Rakyat. Tetapi kita juga diberitahu bahawasanya speaker ataupun yang dipertua Dewan Rakyat berhak menolak apa juga usul kerana ia tidak disebut dalam standing orders yang dipakai oleh Dewan Rakyat. Jadi kalaulah awal lagi sebarang usaha nak mengemukakan usul sedemikian rupa tidak diizin oleh speaker, jadi tak akan berhasil kita berusaha nak bawa usul sedemikian rupa. Tetapi ada cara lain lagi saya rasa yang boleh difikir, kalaulah dipikir ini suatu perkara yang mustahak demi kepentingan rakyat.
Cara lain tu apa?
Cara lain tu
Dia berhenti.
What ada methods cara lain?
We talk in a different forum.
so politically, now all of you are speaking as an individual public citizen, but politically you can't do anything.
Well, politically, of course, we need the support of the Raya. That is why we call this press conference, because the papers now are censored. Either they censor themselves by themselves, or they are directed not to publish anything that may affect the image of the government. We hope that among these the people who are present today would be able to let the Rakyat know the problems that we face. The country is going to the dogs. The economy is not doing well. They give $20 billion to this organization to boost up the share prices. All these things are artificial. If we see the currency going down and the share prices going down, and all the ministries have had their budget cut. Of course, they present a good budget, but later on they cut the budget. And because there is no money, we need to know what is the financial position of the government at this moment. We think it is very bad. But of course, when you ask the government, they can manipulate a lot of things. So we will not know.
But you can also refer to the action taken by the rulers of our country. They have got together to express their concern about what they are facing, what the people, their subjects, are also facing, and has expressed in very clear terms what their rakyat feel about the situation, and have urged the government to act expediently in order to resolve this matter. I think it can be resolved. It can be resolved. Tun has stated many times how the matter can be resolved.
So you're saying we have to remove the PMs to resolve the problems that we're facing now?
You are saying that.
What about within UMNO itself? We have the UMNO Deputy President here, and UMNO who have Vice President, and also UMNO elders are all here. Within UMNO, there's nothing else you can do?
Within UMNO?
Yes.
Well, I think there are a lot of people who have voiced the concern about the state of the nation. I think not only on leadership, on economy, on national unity, on race relations. I think many have expressed that as well. So there are serious issues which need to be addressed because we don't want to see our country go down the drain. So I think the role of UMNO, as much as it's part of the government, there must be some voice that will sort of view this as important matters. It cannot be set aside, it cannot be just brushed aside as if because you're part of the government, these are not real issues. So if you're really seriously fighting and struggling for the interest of the nation, UMNO should play that role. So I think as much as we are part of that team, I think there must be some bodies or some individual or some parties within the party that would take this role to advise or to be playing a role of check and balance so that they will be seen to be fair. I think this is what UMNO is doing. But of course, whether those actions that were taken will be noted or action taken based on what we have advised is left entirely to the leadership to concern. Like in my case, of course, I have said many times, even when I was still in the government, my views in the cabinet, which I expressed very lengthily on many issues. So of course, look what happened to me. But it's okay, we can accept this as a matter of what I call matter of course. But as far as we're concerned, UMNO cannot be seen to be dumb to all those issues and cannot be seen to be unconcerned about what's happening to the country at the moment. I think that's important.
Sanusi, would you be now willing to take a bigger, more serious role in looking into all these concerns as a deputy president?
Well, I think the fact that I'm here with Tun, I appreciated the many initiatives that he has taken individually. He spent a lot of time, and I think it's time that Malaysians who share the aspiration, share the cause that Tun is fighting for must come forward. And I believe this is the right way forward, because if issues are so serious and nobody are concerned about it, there's something wrong with us. So I think not that I want to take up a bigger challenge. I know what my position is as far as party is concerned, but of course as a citizen, concerned citizens to what is happening in the country, I don't think that we should keep quiet. We should be a party to it. I don't think we are a minority, we are the majority. I've seen many people from all walks of life, even when I'm out of the government, who approach me to express their concerns, to say that you have to move forward. But of course I ask them, how do I move forward? So there's many things that we need to do. But importantly, of course, this is not us here, who are just a few. I think the majority has to come up. And as Tun has mentioned just now, we need to be seen to be rallying together for the cause of the nation, to save this nation from any issues and problems for the future. And the time is right now. And that's why I think I'm prepared to come up here, face all of you, and I think we need to work together.
I'm sure you will still have great influence as a deputy president.
Yeah.
I'm sure you still have great influence as a deputy president, party president, despite not having any government portfolio.
I don't know, but I think I become slightly more popular than Siti Nurhaliza than before. Really, but of course, I think as far as UMNO is concerned, I sense it when I go down onto the ground, as much as there's some silence in terms of the majority, but the feeling is obvious. So I think I'm just sort of expounding or telling you what the feelings are on the ground, and they need to come forward to speak up. Saya ditemui oleh ramai pemimpin-pemimpin di semua peringkat yang saya tahu mereka juga ada perasaan, tapi kita tahulah dalam budaya UMNO ni ramai yang tidak bersedia untuk bersemuka ataupun menyuarakan pandangan secara terbuka atas sebab-sebab tertentu, mungkin takut dengan tindakan ataupun digugurkan atau dipecat dan lain-lain lagi. Bagi saya itu tidak seharusnya berlaku sekarang. Dalam mana keadaan negara berhadapan dengan situasi sebegini, masa sudah sampai untuk ahli UMNO tampil ke depan. Saya tidak kata menentang pemimpin dan sebagainya, menyuarakan isu-isu pokok dan jangan berdiam diri. Kalau itu berlaku, negara kita akan terus berhadapan dengan masalah yang lebih besar. Sebab itu saya kira ini masa yang sesuai untuk mereka tampil ke depan.
Just breaking news. This is breaking news. Khairuddin Abu Hassan dan Matias Sidang didakwa di Mahkamah Magistrate KL tadi atas tuduhan cuba sabotaj sistem perbankan kewangan negara. Dia sabotaj sistem kewangan dan perbankan negara. Dia kena tuduh di bawah undang-undang ni lah, sabotaj.
Tan Sri Muhyiddin, sebelum ni PM Nani cakap ahli UMNO macam diberi 6 bulan time frame untuk selesaikan isu 1MDB. Sekiranya tempoh 6 bulan ni habis dan mungkin pada bulan 11 ni, apa tindakan UMNO seterusnya untuk menangani isu?
Tunggu dan lihat sama ada selepas 6 bulan selesai semua masalah. Saya tidak nak preempt, ini bukan tanggungjawab saya, tapi mereka yang terlibatlah bertanggungjawab untuk menyelesaikan masalah kerana saya berada di luar kerajaan. Untuk berlaku adil, ialah kita tunggu masa itu. Kalau boleh diselesaikan, bagus. Tetapi kalau tidak, mungkin banyak implikasi lain yang akan timbul, yang akan bawa kesan lebih besar daripada apa yang ada sekarang.
Will you also be raising this issue at the UMNO General Assembly?
When?
The General Assembly?
Well, Perhimpunan Agong UMNO, as usual, is the platform for party members to express their views on many issues. There will be a lot of debate, of course. I think before that will be at the Pemuda Wanita Putri, which is a normal thing. But I can't anticipate what they will want to say. But obviously, if they are down to earth, they feel how people are feeling, they will take the opportunity to speak up. And I think, of course, be polite, the proper way, so that will not be seen upon as like, trying to belittling somebody else. I think that's what we have done before and we'll continue to do so.
I'm an old person. I'm going to ask another question. This is directed to Dato' Tee Keat. Well, the MCA delegates, many of them said the Prime Minister must go. Why should the MCA still be hanging in the Barisan Nasional when you are not really respected? So what is your view?
Boleh saya jawab?
Yeah, I think it's recorded.
Thank you for your question, and perhaps if I may share some thoughts of mine with you and everybody here. Today, I'm here not to represent MCA. That is the first position I would like to make it very clear. So far, by and large, I think the MCA grassroots, being part of the community, they have a lot of grouses, if not uneasiness over the situation of the country and also their future. But if you would ask me what is my view, of course, I may handle the situation differently as compared to what the current leaders are doing. And if need be, certainly we need to go for a referendum within the party or even within the community. Whether should we or should we not stay within the coalition? That is my take, and I don't know whether my answer has answered your question.
Well, I don't have follow-up questions.
Thank you.
Tan Sri and Tun, maybe the question I want to ask is that you have said all these things about where the country is going and what UMNO should do, but UMNO as a whole, besides your own leadership here, has not done these things? Would you say that UMNO has lost its way over recent years, over recent months, that is not responding to what the public is voicing out?
Well, today news in the media is censored. People are not being told the truth. They have to depend upon the alternative media, and they have to depend upon some views, some demonstration carried out by the people. But the demonstration by Bersih, for example, is turned by the government into a racist movement. But Bersih was not racist. I was there. I'm not racist. And there may be many Chinese there, but they are not asking for the overthrow of democracy. They are functioning within the rules of democracy. That if they have some grouses which are not taken care by the government, they have a right to demonstrate. But the government instead turned around and said, this is Chinese against Malays. A Chinese group trying to overthrow Malay government.
This gentleman was at the demonstration.
Yeah, I was at the gentleman there. It is obvious that it is government which is racist. And then actually encouraging a demonstration by Malays against the Chinese. You know, the people who are like Ali Tinju and Jamal and all that, these people are rebel rousers. And they are given a lead role in the demonstration. The police could have stopped them, but I think the government wants to see so-called Malay power to fight against the Chinese. This is encouraging racist sentiments among the people. So I think the situation has become a very tense situation where before the Chinese and Malays could live together, do business together, not of course kissing each other, but now the racial tension in Malaysia is worse because government is actually, despite talking about one Malaysia, satu Malaysia and all that, but the government is urging the Malays to fight the Chinese. So these are the things that is happening.
Tun, can I ask one more question? Probably the last question. This is directed to speak in English now. Directed to Sanusi Junaid. During Tun's reign, he is one of those kaki pukul. He is the operator. He was the operator. And he and his fellow operators had done many things to help UMNO to get rid of problems in UMNO. Today, UMNO is facing huge problems. Why isn't such a thing happening now as it happened during your time?
You're asking me, is it?
Yes, I am.
Thank you for the compliment. All our successes in the past was because of your cooperation. Anyway, I'm watching this whole thing with awe. I mean, the fact is, when anyone tries to topple the Prime Minister, that is regarded as sabotaging or something terroristic. But of course, if you regard toppling a Prime Minister as terroristic, then toppling the government is more terroristic. So you should be arresting all the oppositions who are out to topple the government. So with the oppositions, but it seems that toppling the government is not a crime, but toppling the Prime Minister is a crime. And now you hear this charge against Matthias Chang and Dato' Khairuddin. It's ridiculous. The whole world won't believe that two persons with not so much wealth, or they're not wealthy at all, they're indebted. Two persons sabotaging the banking system of the country and probably of the world. I think if things are not happening as the people want it, it's because of communication failure. So therefore, all of you have to play a role to make sure that the public keeps on knowing what is happening. And recently I met someone who is sufficiently educated. He is more unhappy with GST. On YMDB, he said, I'm unhappy, but I do not know the detail. In other words, if we succeeded in the past, it is because of our effectiveness in communicating. So at the moment, if you are all concerned about the country, then you have to assist us to make the whole country and the whole world probably know what messy thing is happening in this country. Thank you.
Pencapaian dah bawa ke 7 pimpinan UMNO kini sedang dipantau dan kemungkinannya adalah anda berlima dan yang lain. Jadi mungkin Tun tidak kisah sebenarnya selepas ini sebab dan Datuk sini akan diambil tindakan daripada parti.
Akan keluar daripada parti.
Ambil tindakan ke
Yalah, inilah cara pemerintah. Bila ada teguran, buang orang yang menegur. Dan ambil tindakan terhadap orang yang menegur. Ini bukan cara sebuah negara yang mengaku ditadbir mengikut undang-undang. Undang-undang situ memang menyekat kita daripada membuat benda yang keterlaluan. Tetapi ini adalah perkara biasa. Kita lihat satu jenayah berlaku. Kita lapor kepada pihak yang berkuasa. Pihak yang berkuasa tangkap kita, soal kita dan masuk kita dalam tahanan. Inikah undang-undang Malaysia? Undang-undang ada di situ untuk kebaikan rakyat. Bukan kebaikan kerajaan saja, kebaikan rakyat. Kalau rakyat buat satu dakwaan, tugas kerajaan ialah menjelaskan supaya rakyat puas hati. Ini bila buat tuduhan kepada kerajaan, ditangkap, disoal, masuk dalam tahanan, sekarang ni nak charge di bawah undang-undang yang tidak ada kena-mengena sama sekali dengan jenayah yang dilaku. Jenayahnya ialah kerana orang ini melapor kesalahan kerajaan kepada pihak yang berkuasa. Kalau pihak yang berkuasa, AG, mengambil tindakan, tak ada masalah pasal kita lapor berkenaan dengan jenayah. Tapi AG tak ambil apa-apa tindakan. Sebab itu dia terpaksa pergi ke negara lain di mana negara lain juga terlibat kehilangan wang mereka, maka dilaporkan di negara lain. Ini pun laporan saja. Bukan dia pasang bom, bukan dia serang dengan senjata. Dia bukan AIS. Dia pergi bagi laporan. That's all. Takkan kita buat laporan pun salah. Tapi demikianlah undang-undang sekarang ni. Kita buat laporan tentang jenayah, kita akan ditahan.
Pada 2008 Tun pernah konfrontasikan tidak puas hati dengan pemerintahan Pak Lah. Mungkin kali ini Tun akan melakukan perkara yang sama?
Ya, saya tahan masuk oleh Pak Lah lagi. Saya masuk dia dalam tahanan. Yang bagi Pak Lah jatuh Datuk Seri Najib. Pak Lah was duly elected democratically. Tapi Najib persuade dia suruh letak jawatan. Kalau boleh kita persuade Najib, tak ada masalah. Tapi Najib tak mau letak jawatan. Pak Lah letak jawatan.
Encik Muhyiddin, you mentioned earlier as you were explaining about the feeling of people on the ground. Are you maybe alluding to asking them to maybe come out publicly en masse instead of just keeping it in?
So I don't want to so-called instigate or provoke, but as I've said just now, they are aware. But you see, UMNO has got a certain culture. Out of respect, or because we are Malays, you tend to sort of suppress your feeling. And as much as issues and problems are messing us now, and people know there are a lot of issues. So what I'm asking them is to be a bit more open, to express them, which they can do to many platforms in their own divisional election, in divisional meetings, in many of the activities that they do, to express those things, and do not sort of be fearful or what the consequences would be if they are doing the right things. they are doing. Even in Islam, we are demanded to say what is right. We cannot protect if there is any wrongdoing or kemungkaran. Something of that sort, I think, should be the guiding principle, what they should be doing. So I think it will come to a point later on that this will happen. It's a question of maybe how many of them are willing to come forward, like what we are trying to do today, and express themselves more bravely, clearly. And I think if they base it on the basis of what is right, what are facts, I don't think they should be sort of worried or concerned about it.
Tan Sri, in that situation, I suppose the argument is that eventually something's got to give, where the leadership right now is maybe unwilling to listen despite growing voices against them. So what is the point where this will have to actually go to something else, maybe more overt or open kind
I
of?
don't think it's overt or covert, but I think that UMNO is work on the basis of democracy. We have the proper way of addressing issues. Those should be the platform that you will use, but they could be more exertive in the expressions of their concern, and not just to keep quiet, because they themselves felt that. They themselves are questioning a lot of things as regard to leadership about what the government is doing. As much as they are not saying it now, they feel it. So the question may be whether time will come sooner than later for them to be more, as I said, more assertive, willing to speak up a bit more, but in a proper manner, as we have explained. I think that's the best way to do it.
Basically, we're telling UMNO delegates not to be afraid of the consequences.
They are not afraid, but I think they have to use a proper platform. And I'm not too sure whether the AGM that is coming up will be the platform, because they're the highest body, and where all leaders are gathered together to listen to the address of the presidents, and of course there'll be debates. And I think they should be allowed to express themselves. I know I was there before, but in terms of managing the elections, there could be some way of making sure that they will not sort of go beyond or outside of the context. But I think time is right, which is the next AGM for them to express themselves better this time.
If all fails, will you consider, what do you think of the opposition pact now? They are opening their doors to anyone. If all fails, will you reach across? What do you think of the opposition pact now?
Opposition pact?
Yeah.
With whom?
The opposition right now with the new Harapan, and they're saying their doors open for anyone that are keen, both sides of the aisle, to join.
I don't want to talk about the opposition pact. I know they have got their own problem as well. We don't have to elaborate on that. But I was saying about what UMNO can do. Of course, UMNO is part of the Barisan Nasional, what BN can do as a whole. Don't forget, because they are the other party which are also constitute a component of Barisan Nasional. They have the role to do. They can say it out, and of course they can speak up even in Parliament or even in their respective assemblies, and what the issues are and how do they address those issues. And of course, be more forthright in telling the Prime Minister things of their concern. I don't think you want to be feeling hopeless about the situation. I want to feel that there is some hope. But that hope will come, sooner or later, if people are willing to speak up louder.
I have a slightly different view from Tan Sri Muhyiddin. I think the party system has failed. And I think we should evolve a new system whereby the people will have representation, proper representation. And through that system, I think the people's voices will be heard more than the party voices. Now it seems to be dominated by leadership or the leaders of the party, rather than the voices of the people at the grassroots level or the people who are supporting the party. So there's a big difference here, and because of that, I think it has failed. That's why we can move ideas forward now. It seems that the ideas are coming from upstairs down, rather than downstairs upwards.
If I can give an example of this, before the leaders were chosen by the representative who attend the General Assembly, about 2,000 or more of them. And then they amended the way of election by saying that 150,000 people will decide. But then in the end, it is not the voices, the number of people who support that counts. It's a division. A division is less than the original representatives. The division comes to about 200 or so. So actually they were reducing the voices that can determine whether the leaders should be there or not, should be elected or not. We see cases where the popular votes are won by somebody, but somebody else get elected because the division name or decide to give the vote to somebody else. So it's not enlarging the number of voters by actually reducing it. And yet they thought, oh, this is to let more people participate in the election of leaders.
There are views that the party and the government has been hijacked by a small group of people with lots of money.
Yeah.
Are we in a crisis now? Is this nation in a crisis also?
Well, the Datuk Sri Najib explained that the $2.16 billion is to help UMNO win the election. We don't need 2.6 billion to win the election. That is my experience at least. At the most, we pay for nasi lemak, cigarette, and some bottled water. That's all. It doesn't cost 2.6 billion. When you have so much money, how are you going to use the money to win election if it is not by giving money to people? That is bribery. So already we see a deviation from democratic practices, the usage of money to influence people, and that is corruption. The government is admitting, Datuk Sri Najib is admitting that he wants to use $2.6 billion to win the next election.
Cash is king.
That is, as he says, cash is king. You give money to people, they will vote for you. Maybe you give 10,000, not much, 20, not much. But when you give 1 million to a person, he will turn around and bash his own party. You see? This is the way that he wants to do.
Are we in a crisis too? Is this nation in a crisis now?
Well, we are in a very critical stage where the economy is going down, politics is bad, racialism is mounting, and the government is using money to buy people. You know, you give BRIM, you give all kinds of money to people. That is wrong.
Datuk Sri Nazir Razak suggested that it's high time to set up the National Consultative Council. What do you think?
I think that should come after Najib is not here. Because you can't have a National Consultative Council which will be ignored by the government.
One last question perhaps before we country, based on Tun's response just now, he says the country is in a critical situation. Don't you think it is already time for you to, you have done it in the past and suffered the consequences of it. Don't you think it is time for you to step up and ask Najib to step down?
Well, I don't think I need to say it. Yes, so many people have said it today. But the most important part is how to resolve this issue, because it has been, of course, dragging on for some time. I know some issues need time to be resolved. He asked for time to resolve one MDB. He need time to manage some other issues of the nation. But as you said just now, there are problems of concern. So the question is up to the Prime Minister. I think he's a smart man. He understands what the situation is. He understands and hears the voice of people. I hope so. So it is up to him to consider what best that he should do for the sake of the nation.
What about granting him a safe passage? That suggestion, will it?
I don't think this is the right platform to say anything about that.
Will it make it
By
easier?
air or by boat? By air or by boat?
Safe passage.
Shafie, do you share your sentiments on this, the
Well, I
state
think
of our country?
what is important now, I think one of the fundamental issues that the country is facing now is the trust and confidence. Ini yang bangkit kalau kita lihat dari segi keyakinan, bukan hanya rakyat, bahkan juga masyarakat luar tentang kepercayaan dan keyakinan dan kehadiran the mere present here in support of these press release with regard to the law, upholding the law. Itu yang kita suarakan supaya jangan berbangkit penyalahgunaan sesuka hati dari segi perundangan yang ada, supaya mana-mana pihak ada kebebasan untuk menyuarakannya. And that is our concern. And as rightly mentioned by Tun just now, with regard to the economy, you can imagine now, how much is the retail and how much is our revenue coming in, not only from GST, tax and other stuff coming from oil. And I'm very concerned about that. The bread and butter issues on the ground, being the former Minister of Rural, I know it's one of the most important issues. It is tracking them, their survival. So these are the issues that we are questioning now. Holding that, but it leads down to the question of leadership. We must have clear where the country is going. We have raised our voice, our opinion, not only in the cabinet, outside, inside. But nothing has been done. Instead, we have not been included in the cabinet. But that doesn't matter to us. Whether we are in the cabinet, we are outside the cabinet. What is important now, the country, the people at large, must be protected. Our prime interest here is no longer the interest of we in a position of whatever it is, whether you are there, president, vice president, deputy president, but the people's and the country's interest. It is more important now,
Can I draw your attention to the statement by the rulers? Zahid has responded by talking about the division of power in the government. I would like to ask to Zali to explain what that division of power means.
Well, I'm no expert on this, about the separation of powers. When you talk of separation of powers, you go back to what the French jurists used to advocate, that there shouldn't be a conflict of function between one to the other, meaning the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. It does not involve those people who are in power, the rulers in this instance. But the rulers is never in the equation. It is always a conflict between the executive and the judiciary, or the executive and the legislative. So that is what is meant by separation of powers. But in this instance, the rulers have come forward. I think it's very wise of them to come forward with this kind of intervention to provide sound advice to the people concerned, so that this impasse that we are faced with should be resolved in a manner that will help the people. I think the country is going through a difficult period, especially economically, and I think the rulers are worried about it. I must explain a little bit. The whole scenario is easy for the opposition and for the group of us here. In our case, we want Najib out, but we want UMNO and Barisan to win. If we want UMNO and Barisan to lose, it's very easy to get Najib out. So the thing is, we want UMNO to win and to keep on leading the country with Barisan Nasional, but we just want to get rid of those who are causing the problem for the nation. Thank you.
Terima kasih.